Hello dear students and welcome to Genesis. Well, आज के इस lecture में we are going to discuss a very important organ present in our body called heart. ये अपना presence हमेशा हमें feel कराता है by beating constantly. Let us delve into the internal structure of the heart. When we want to know the location of the heart, remember the heart is located right in the middle of the two lungs. But the lower part of the heart is little more tilted towards the left side. That is why you feel your heartbeat towards the left side. But otherwise, the location of the heart will be actually between two lungs and above the diaphragm. Next comes the shape of the heart. The shape of the heart is basically triangular. Third is the size of the heart. So the length of the heart is 12 centimeter and its width is 9 centimeter. Now membranous covering, that means the membranes or the thin layers that are covering the heart, these are called pericardium. And there are two such membranes. So there is one membrane and then there is another membrane around it. And between these two membranes there is a fluid present. The name of this fluid is pericardial fluid. Now what is the function of this fluid? Remember, whenever there is a fluid between two membranes, this fluid will definitely work as a lubricant. So it basically works as a lubrication that prevents friction between the two membranes. Apart from this, this is also required to protect the heart from any mechanical injury. Now the next information about heart is about the chambers that are present in our heart. Now our heart has total 4 chambers. So to understand the chambers of the heart, I am going to draw a schematic representation of the heart. Remember, schematic representation is not the diagram of the heart. This is for our understanding. So as I said, there are total 4 chambers in the human heart. The upper 2 chambers, they are called atrium, this is the singular, and plural is atria, and the lower chamber is known as ventricle and the plural is ventricles. So there are 2 atria and there are 2 ventricles. Now very clearly we can see there is a partition between the 4 chambers. Okay, so there is partition that is separating the left side of the heart from the right side. Now you must be wondering, why did I write left here? Remember one thing, when I am drawing, this is my right side, but if I stand, then this becomes the left side of my heart. So every time when you are studying human heart, you have to remember one thing, your right side is actually the left side of the diagram. So this is the left side of the heart and this is the right side of the heart. So I can also say this is left atrium, this is right atrium, left ventricle, right ventricle. So these are the 4 chambers. Now I say that the right side of the heart, right atrium and the right ventricle, is separated from the left side of the heart, which is left atrium and left ventricle, by a partition. And what is this partition called? This partition is known as septum. So now let us discuss if there is any structural difference between the upper and the lower chambers of the heart. The upper chambers of the heart, which is the atria, they are thin walled. And there is a reason why, because their function is to collect blood. So they basically do what? They collect blood. From where? I will explain it afterwards. Whereas the lower chambers, ventricles, they are thick walled, or you can also say muscular. And why? Because their function is to pump blood out. So they basically push the blood outside the heart and they collect blood. That is why their functions are different, and to perform these functions they have these structural differences. One is thin walled, another one, the ventricles, they are thick walled. Now when I talk about the structural differences, the next question comes that if they are collecting blood, then they are collecting blood from where and how are they collecting the blood? So to collect blood, they have blood vessels which bring blood to them. And from where are they collecting blood? They are either collecting blood from your entire body, or they are collecting pure fresh oxygen infused blood from the lungs. So let us see. Remember one thing, always the right side of the heart will be collecting deoxygenated blood or oxygen deficient blood, and the left side of your heart will always collect oxygen rich blood. So जब हम हार्ट पढ़ते हैं ना, सब कुछ उल्टा है थोड़ा सा. जैसे हम ऐसे ड्रॉ करते हैं तो हमारा राइट साइड को हमें लेफ्ट लेबल करना पड़ता है, वैसे ही लेफ्ट साइड के पास ऑक्सीजन रिच ब्लड आता है एंड राइट साइड के पास ऑक्सीजन डेफिशिएंट ब्लड आता है. नाउ लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड which are the pipelines which are going to bring the blood to the different chambers of the heart. So for our convenience sake, now I am going to label this as right atrium, this will be left atrium, this is right ventricle, and this is left ventricle. So let us start with the right side first. So as I told you, right side is going to collect oxygen deficient blood, and there are two pipelines which will bring this oxygen deficient blood here. One is known as the superior vena cava. Why superior? Because it is going to bring blood from the upper half of your body. So it brings deoxygenated blood from the upper half of your body and pours it in the right atrium. Whereas this one is known as the inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava does what? It brings deoxygenated blood from the lower half of your body, that means the half of your body below your thorax, and pours it in the right atrium. Now from here the blood goes to the chamber which is ventricle. So very clearly we can see the function of the atrium is just to collect the blood and to push the blood to the next neighboring chamber. That is why they can afford to remain thin walled. Now once they are sent to the right ventricle, the function of the ventricle is to push this blood out. And where will it push the blood out? It will send it to that organ, increasing it by infusing fresh oxygen. And which organ can do that? Only the lungs. So basically the blood now from here will directly go to the lungs. And name of this blood vessel that carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs, we have already studied this in our 9th standard, is pulmonary artery. So this is pulmonary artery which is collecting the deoxygenated blood from the ventricle and sending into the lungs for its purification. Now let us go to the other side. The left side basically collects oxygen rich blood, from where there is only one organ which can do that, which is lungs. And what will be the name of this pipeline? It will be pulmonary vein. So pulmonary vein is bringing fresh oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium of the heart. Now the next work is to send this blood to the ventricle, left ventricle. Now when it goes to the left ventricle, from here the blood should be passed to every part of your body. So for that we have a very thick pipeline, very important and very thick pipeline, which is known as aorta. So the main function of the aorta is to push the blood to all the different parts of your body. One of its branch out of the many branches that are going to the left and the right side, I am just drawing that one, is known as coronary artery. coronary artery is not to send blood to any other organ of your body but to your heart. So it basically sends the blood to the heart. What does it do? It sends fresh blood to the heart, and then the coronary vein collects the deoxygenated blood from the heart and takes it and pours it back to the right side of the heart, which is the right atrium. So please remember this name, coronary artery. It's a branch of aorta and it sends blood to the heart. Now imagine a condition where for some reason the coronary artery has a blockage. So if it has a blockage, it will not be able to send blood to the heart. Heart is made up of muscles, so if they do not get blood, it's going to become dead, and this is known as heart attack, and the biological term for it is known as myocardial infraction. Write down the spelling. It is myocardial infraction. So there is also another condition which can happen if there is not enough oxygenated blood reaching the heart. Then you can suffer from severe chest pain, which is known as angina pectoris. I'll write down the spelling. Now let us understand about the various valves which are present in our heart. Now let us discuss the valves and why there are valves also present in the heart. Now when I say valves, remember valves that are present in the heart, they are specifically present in certain locations, and there is a reason why. Imagine a condition when the blood gets collected in the right atrium. So when it is getting collected, this is a chamber, right? So if there is an opening, we already know there is an opening from which the blood will flow from the atrium to the ventricle. But if this opening remains open right now, then the blood will not get collected in the atrium. It will directly flow to the ventricle. We don't want that. We want this to act like a closed container where first the blood is going to come and get collected. So to do that, we have valves present here, and there are total 3 valves in the right side of the heart. These 3 valves together, they are known as tricuspid valve. They are 3 in number, so we have to remember the number as well. On the other hand, the same concept is applicable here also, and for this there are only 2 valves here, and they are known as bicuspid valve, also called mitral valve. So you need to remember the name, the alternative name, and the number of valves that are present. Now comes the question, what are valves? Valves are like lids, okay? So they remain closed when the upper chamber is collecting blood. But now when they want the blood from the upper chamber to go to the down chamber, they are just going to open and allow the blood to go down. Now imagine a condition when this blood is getting filled in this chamber. When it is getting filled in this chamber, there is enough pressure that gets generated, and it can actually push the flap downwards and open it. But that does not happen until this chamber is completely filled. Then what is the mechanism that prevents the unwanted opening up of the flaps? That is done by certain structures which are present here in the ventricles. Now, I have already told you the ventricles are thick-walled compared to the atrium. Why? Because they have some muscular layer present around them. Okay, and these are known as papillary muscles. They are only present in ventricles, they are not present in atria. Now, from these papillary muscles, there are certain tendons, okay, which are sent out and they connect to the tip of the flaps. These structures are what are important, okay. They actually prevent the flap from opening up when it is not needed. These structures are known as chordae tendinae. You will be asked the location of the chordae tendinae. So the location is from the papillary muscle of the ventricle to the apex of the valves. Now we already know about the bicuspid and tricuspid valve. Let us see if there are any other valves present here. Yes, there are. There are valves which are also present here. There is valve which is also present here. It is not in our syllabus, so we are not going to study that now. There are valves which are also present here, and you know these valves, they are like semilunar in shape. What do we mean by semilunar? Which lunar मतलब चांद, तो semilunar structure के valves present होते हैं. They are present somewhere here and they are always 3 in number. जो semilunar valve present है pulmonary artery के pipeline में, that is known as pulmonary semilunar valve. And the valve which is present right above the aorta is known as the aortic semilunar valve. इनका नंबर क्या है? They are both 3 in number. So there are 3 pulmonary semilunar valves and there are 3 aortic semilunar valve. लोकेशन कहाँ है? एक पल्मोनरी आर्टरी के अंदर है, एक एओर्टा के ठीक ऊपर में. अंदर नहीं, they are actually present at the tip, okay, on the opening of these blood vessels. So मैंने यहाँ 4 valves mention किया. Bicuspid valve जो present है लेफ्ट साइड में, they are 2 in number, also known as mitral valve. Tricuspid valve which are present in the right side, exact location atrioventricular aperture, between atrium and ventricle के बीच जो opening है aperture, वहाँ ये located है. So the tricuspid valve, they are 3 in number, right side में present है, that means right atrioventricular aperture. इसके सिवा there are 2 semilunar valves. There are 2 types of semilunar valves और इनके numbers हैं 3. One is pulmonary semilunar valve, another is aortic semilunar valve. Now let us come to the actual diagram of human heart. अब तक जो दिखाया था वो schematic representation था. This is the actual diagram of human heart. पहले जल्दी से chambers पहचानते हैं. See, this is the left side, so left ventricle. ठीक उसके ऊपर अगर हम जाते हैं तो left atrium. This is the right side, so here is the right ventricle. and ऊपर अगर जाते हैं तो ये रहा हमारा right atrium. So right atrium, left ventricle and this is the right ventricle. अब आते हैं pipelines, the most important pipelines, okay? So let's start with the aorta. मैंने पहले ही बताया था aorta is that pipeline which actually collects oxygenated blood from the left ventricle and passes it to the entire part of the body. This is very thick, this particular blood vessel. तो ये जो है this is aorta and this aorta has 3 parts. जब aorta निकलता है उसे कहा जाता है ascending aorta. जो वो एक कर्वेचर बनाता है उसे कहते हैं aortic arch and then when it descends downwards that is known as descending aorta. You must be wondering ये सारे क्या है? These are the various branches coming out of the aorta, right? They are going to different parts of your body. तो मैंने aorta के 3 labeling बताया, हमने अभी discuss किया what are the chambers of the heart. Now let's go to the blood vessel. So since I am talking about the left side, so the left side will get pure blood from the lungs. तो ये 2 रहे pulmonary vein which will bring good blood from the left lung, इसीलिए left pulmonary vein. Left lung से जैसे pulmonary vein आ रहा है वैसे ही right lung से भी आएगा pulmonary vein. So those we have labeled here. So here are the right pulmonary vein. Okay. But एक चीज है, do not get confused क्योंकि मैंने इन्हें 2 साइड में ड्रॉ किया है. यहाँ जब when we study the real structure of the heart, बहुत सारी चीजें थोड़ी complicated लगती हैं because it's a 3D structure, right? ये दोनों which are the right pulmonary vein and these are left pulmonary vein, they are basically coming out from the right and the left lungs. लेकिन ये सारे इकट्ठा they open up where? They are opening up in the left atrium, जहाँ basically ये pulmonary vein अपने oxygenated blood को drain करते हैं. So they all will finally open up in the left atrium where the blood is going to come. The next part is about the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery is that blood vessel जो deoxygenated blood को lungs के पास ले जाता है. So here is the pulmonary artery which carries the deoxygenated blood to the lung. अब आते हैं superior inferior vena cava. We know they bring blood from the body and they pour it into the right atrium. सो ये रहा सुपीरियर वेना कावा और ये रहा इंफीरियर वेना कावा. सो लास्ट एंड अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट इज दिस. ये क्या है? ये बेसिकली एक लिगामेंट है और इस लिगामेंट का नाम है लिगामेंटम आर्टेरियोसम. यू नो इसका फंक्शन क्या है? इसका फंक्शन है टू अटैच द अओर्टा विद द पल्मोनरी आर्टरी. इन दोनों को कनेक्टेड रखता है. नॉट देयर इंटरनली कनेक्टेड, ऐसा नहीं कि ब्लड मिक्स हो सकता है, बट दोनों ब्लड वेसल चिपके रहते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ दिस लिगामेंटम आर्टेरियोसम. सो दिस इज द कंप्लीट स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ ह्यूमन हार्ट, जहां हमें 4 चेंबर्स लेबल करने पड़ते हैं, हमें 4 ब्लड वेसल्स लेबल करने पड़ते हैं. इसके अलावा और एक चीज लेबल करना पड़ता है विच इज द ब्लड वेसल दैट कैरीज ब्लड टू द हार्ट एंड टेक्स ब्लड अवे फ्रॉम द हार्ट. तो मैंने ये रेड कलर के चौक से जो मार्क किया है दैट इज कोरोनरी आर्टरी. सो दिस इज द लेफ्ट coronary artery and here is the right coronary artery. इनका काम क्या है? blood देना to the muscles of the heart. Similarly we have coronary vein जिन्हें मैंने यहाँ लेबल नहीं किया to make it less complicated. Its main function is to collect the blood from the heart and send it कहाँ pour करना है? To the right atrium from where it will be drained to the right ventricle and from right ventricle to the lungs for purification. So ये total labelings हमें याद रखने होंगे. We also have to remember the functions and of course इस diagram में valves mention नहीं है. We know there are 4 types of valves. So there are 4 types of blood vessels, 4 different kinds of chambers and 4 types of valves in human heart. इसके अलावा we also must know the layering that actually covers the human heart and the name of that membranous layer is pericardium. So with this we finish the structure of the heart. I am meeting you next in my next video जहां हम लोग circulation of blood through the heart पढ़ने वाले हैं. Thank you and keep revising.